Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Barry Overton, and I'm your host today for the Agent Power Huddle. And this is a special edition that we're doing today. It's Juneteenth, which has become a national holiday, but this being in Colorado and growing up in Texas, this is a holiday that I've really grown up with all my life. And when Jesse reached out to me and said, hey, you know what, it's Juneteenth, we should do a special edition for this particular day and celebrate it. And I said, you know what, I have the perfect person for today. And I'm honored to have her on with us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Muriel Williams-Thompson. She's a Denver real estate agent, but she's a graduate of an esteemed high school here in Denver, Colorado, Kent Denver High School. She attended Syracuse University and graduated with a bachelor's degree from Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. And she is a third generation real estate agent and the proud grandchild of the founder of Town & Country Realty, which was founded in 1951. And it's the oldest Black-owned real estate agency in Colorado. So again, some amazing accolades just in her history, but also her own accolades. She was once graduating from college, she became an investor immediately. So that was really her introduction into real estate. And then in 2005, she became a full-time real estate agent and working in this industry. And she has a commitment to bettering community. She has sat on the board of directors for the South Metro Fire and Rescue. She's been previous chair for the Cunningham Fire Protection. And currently, she is also the cabinet chair for Senator James Coleman. And also probably her biggest and notable position right now is president of the Denver Board of Realtors, the Denver chapter of the National Association of Realtors. And she sits on the board of directors for the National Association of Realtors. Man, that's a mouthful. And, you know, and you would think she's like 70, 80 years old, because that's like a lifetime of accomplishments that she's done. But very young, very amazing what she's doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Muriel Williams-Thompson, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you for having me here. And happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth to you. And, you know, as we were celebrating this is historic time in our culture, in our history of American history, then you know, like I said, I couldn't let it go unnoticed in regards to the history that you have in real estate and the Denver, you know, area in really in Colorado, because I know when we first met, I was just so impressed with the fact that your grandfather started, you know, Town & Country in 1951 when, and you think about that, that's 72 years ago. And when you look at Keller Williams, Century 21, Remax, some of the big companies that have been around for years, they have not been around for 72 years. So that is highly impressive to see a company that has been around for so long and the generation after generation of real estate agents that it's created. So can you tell us a little bit more going back to 1951 of that history?
Well, you know, I've heard all of all of the things that we don't have to deal with these days. I know my grandfather's passed on now, so I hear most of the stories from my grandmother and the older generations in my family. They all worked for Town & Country Realty, and it was rough. It was beyond rough. selling homes to families in 1951, and primarily they were selling to Black families because that's who they were. They were their clients. Today, we have clients that are of all ethnicities because the world is different now. But my grandfather got a lot of death threats. They had death threats on their home. You weren't able to walk into a bank and get a regular loan. You had to be very creative on getting mortgages for these individuals. And discrimination was legal. I mean, It was prior to 1968, the Fair Housing Act, and discrimination was legal and it was rampant.
Yeah. And so, again, obviously you started your career in real estate. And I was actually, over the weekend, I was listening to a podcast that you did where you attended the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And I'll have you explain more of what that is. But also, if you can share, when you attended that meeting, there was a discovery that happened for you during that.
Yes. So I went to a meeting. I was invited by a title rep, actually, at the time. And it was several years ago. And I just slid in, kind of sat in the back. And I knew a couple of people in the room and, said my hellos. And I sat in the back, and great meeting. It was very informative. They passed out the paper of the history of the organization, which I heard about, but I really didn't know that much about it. And I saw a familiar name on the paper. And I wasn't sure who that, if it was a real thing for me. But when I left that meeting later on, I actually called my, it was an older cousin. And I said, did my grandfather have anything to do with the Denver Board of Realtors, Denver NARAB? And she just lit up. Absolutely. So what it did say, Jesse Johnson, who was my grandfather, my mother's father. His name was on that paper as the founder of the organization. And from there, I got family members that were telling me how wonderful the meetings were, how informative, how awesome, how it created business opportunities, how it created opportunities for their clients. I mean, it was how they all did business and ate in 1951 and beyond. So I was very proud to know that my grandfather was the founder of that organization. So I got involved. Very quickly. And flash forward, I am now the president of that organization. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure he is so proud of you and the position that you've taken, and really just what you've done in the community over the years. We've had a chance to know one another for the past few years, and constantly I'm seeing you on TV, talking about fair housing and making sure that housing and real estate is done fair and equitably in the Colorado market and in the Denver community. And with NARAB, I know that's, if you want to just kind of share some of the history of NARAB as well.
Absolutely. So NARAB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, is the historically African-American or Black real estate professional organization, and it was founded in 1947. So that is a national organization, and we have over 100 chapters now across the nation. And the organization exists because there was a time when if you were Black in real estate, you were not able to be a member of the Association of Realtors. It just was not allowed. And fast forward, you have individuals across the nation. They're trying to get things done. They're trying to get the same things. They need access to properties for sale and to list. And they formed their own network. And that is how NARAB was born. And like I said, Denver Board of Realtors, we are the Denver chapter of that. Now our focus is not just to stay in existence and be in business and to support each other. That is one. But two is to increase the Black homeownership rate. Which is the lowest of all ethnicities. So I am blessed and fortunate to be able to be surrounded by powerhouses in the real estate industry, such as yourself, Barry, and other of our colleagues and everything too. I mean, we come together. You can't just put your head down and just say, okay, I'm just going to service my clients, because discrimination does exist. There's things that happen. And there's education that needs to happen. I mean, I'm going to say that's above of all else right now. When we're talking about increasing Black homeownership rate, we're talking about bridging the wealth gap. And we're doing that with individuals who most likely don't have access, in many cases, to generational wealth to be able to build on that. I can kind of go into detail more about that, but that's my long answer to a short question.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, again, there is this gap that we have, the wealth gap that we have. If you don't mind just kind of expanding on that conversation.
Absolutely. So the wealth gap in America, when it comes to Black wealth and white wealth, is there's a 30% deficit in Black wealth in America. It's very succinct with the homeownership rate. It's almost identical. So when we take a look at homeownership rate, we're at a little over 45% nationally right now as of second quarter of 2023. And white homeownership rate is a little bit over 75%. So when you're taking a look at that 30% deficit, that number, homeownership and the wealth gap, it is tied into each other. Homeownership is one of the largest purchases that people make in their lifetime. It's one of the best investments. And if you just don't have the knowledge and you don't have the access, if you've been denied access throughout the years, you don't have that generational wealth to keep passing on to future generations. We are working on changing that.
Yeah. And you mentioned that really, right now, part of the mission is the education aspect of it. I can tell you growing up, I never grew up in a home that my parents owned. We were always renters. So, when I became a police officer, one of the first things that I said, I want to be a homeowner. So I became a homeowner in my 20s and realized that and it was after that I got involved in real estate. But much of what you're sharing right now, I realized that, again, it was almost from a cyclical aspect of this is just the way things have been done. And being a renter, could have been the mentality that I had moving forward. But it was through education that helped me to understand the ability to create and grow wealth through real estate and the importance of being a homeowner. And with the education that NARAB is doing, that's exactly where you're trying to tap into communities now, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The education is kind of, where do you even start? Because I know that's a question. That's a question we all had. Yeah. I'm fortunate I came from a real estate family, so I knew a little bit. I did get some more formal training on that, but I did know where to go. But for someone who didn't, and I had friends and most individuals and my people around me, they just hadn't owned a home. So it can be a scary thing. It can be a scary thing if you haven't lived in a household where it was done before. How do I start? And so that's where we are with NARAB. We meet people where they are. We try to take them from point A to point Z on the process. And, it starts with financial literacy and credit impact. And it sounds like you already had a great foundation already for you to seek that out. So. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, again, for me, my role model for when I was growing up was my uncle. He was the first. We're talking about African Americans and being the first. He's the first African American sergeant, lieutenant, and captain for the Austin Police Department in Texas. And he owned his home, but he owned many other properties. He had a lot of investment properties. So he was my role model in regards to what I thought success looked like. That was in my family. He was the most successful person. And what I did, I took a quote that Tony Robbins once said, and it was, if you want to be successful, find someone that has achieved the things that you want and copy what they do until you achieve the same results. So I just became a copycat, but I was copying the right cat though.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And that's really what builds generational wealth. You have, if you had a parent who was a homeowner, if they invested in properties, if they were a landlord, if they had all these things going, that's what you see. You organically mimic that anyway. So that's the best advice.
Yeah, and I have to take it one step further with Town and Country. Like I said, that's not a home, that's a business that has been passed down from generation to generation. And I'm sure that will continue. Like I said, it's just very impressive to see 72 years of being in business and continuing to thrive. I know, I think I just saw somewhere with someone that I'm connected to on Facebook just recently joined Town and Country. So, again, it's still a thriving organization. And, I know when I read the bio, it said the oldest Black owned, but I would venture to guess, I don't know if you've done the research on it, but it's going to be hard to find another company of, any ethnicity that's been around in Colorado longer than that 72 years.
Thank you. Well, you know what? I have not done that research, so I will look into that. It is a proud moment, and I work with my mother. So my mother is my boss. That's the big boss, and but I am fortunate to be able to manage excellent agents in the organization. I mean, in the company. Mm-hmm. We stick around. Being in business this long, it's not easy. It's not easy, and there's challenges. The market, as you know, it changes every year. But from now, sometimes it changes from week to week. So we have to all stay on top of our craft. And
yeah. And so, where would you say, we've talked a lot about the history, but for Town and Country and for NARAB, where would you say the direction is that we're headed towards the future?
Growth. We're headed towards growth. Yeah. There's no one person who can, stay in a position in an organization and expect it to grow if they just stay stagnant. And so I am happy to pass the torch and helping others get to their place that they want to in leadership and things like that. I mean, I was just at a family event last night, and we've got multiple other younger generations that are getting their licenses right now. Wow. So they are, one is done with real estate school next week, another one in another 2 weeks, another one's just now starting. So those type of things actually feed my soul. They keep me refreshed because we actually need youth, and we need youth and energy to keep things going, the business going and the organization going. And I can see NARAB is growing leaps over bounds, and I'm thrilled. We have a lot of very successful agents and brokers that have now taken the challenge to put it upon their shoulders to continue the mission of the organization. I mean, you have agents like yourself, you're doing millions and millions every year. I tip my hat to all of you, because it's you've got to stay focused. But at the same time, I think we all take a look around us and say, there's no way that we can continue to just keep our head down and just service our clients if we're not dealing with what's happening in community too, because there are some people who just aren't getting the information. So we've got to be able to lend that helping hand when we can.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that kind of leads me into my next question, just in regards to, so this Agent Power Huddle is, really about getting this particular one, getting the Monday, getting your week started off right. And, one of the things I'm very big on is just mindset. And part of, on a daily basis, how I focus on today is thinking about the legacy that I want to leave behind. because the work that I put in today is a stepping stone towards the legacy that I'm creating. And obviously, your grandfather has this amazing legacy that he's left behind and is tangible because it's still here with the company itself. But when you think about Muriel, say 50, 60 years from now, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? What do you want people to be able to say about Muriel Williams-Thompson?
Well, I do think about that a lot. That's the I think a lot of people do. I want people to say that, where I was able to move that needle forward, I did what I could to do so. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and it's not going to happen in one generation. But I get up every day and I look at things that I need to do. I service my clients, but I also look at what I can do for community to move that needle to be able to bridge the wealth gap and to build generational wealth for others. So 50, 60 years from now, I hope people can say my name and say I did that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that they will, because everything that you're doing and the direction that you're moving is definitely, again, the stepping stones to creating an amazing legacy for yourself that will live well beyond, your lifetime as well, just like your grandfather. So congratulations to your current success. And, I can always, already see the success that just continuing to build. I want to ask you a couple of questions just for that person that's listening in. The first person I want to talk about is that, again, maybe that first time home buyer, that person that is seeing they see what's in the media about interest rates and what's going on in the real estate market. And so it's created some fear or some doubt in regards to becoming a homeowner. What would be your best advice for someone that is looking at where we are in this current market and questioning, if they should become a homeowner at this point?
The first thing I would say is, okay, how much are you paying in rent? Because rent is high. It's higher than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And what you are paying is someone else's mortgage, and you're paying 100% interest on that.
Yeah.
At this point in time, you're not investing anything in your future, because once you pay the rent, you're just on to the next month. Homeownership is a way to actually set up your future. When I get individuals that are talking about the stress and the anxiety that they have about the market, is because they say, oh, the prices are high and the interest rates are high. Okay, take a step back. Interest rates are normal. They're normal.
Yeah.
If you're comparing it to the 2 and 3% interest rates that we had a year ago, that was a clearance sale. You missed it. It's okay. When I purchased my first property at 23 years old, my interest rate was over 8.5%, and I was happy to get it.
Yeah.
Interest rates are lower than that right now. So I would say, and I could say, I took a look at my first property, and I'm really going to date myself when I say this. It was $80,000 was the sales price.
Yeah.
And I freaked out thinking like, oh my goodness, this is so expensive. How am I going to pay this? But I wish, and I know if we could find a property that's $80,000 in Colorado right now, we would be clawing at it.
Oh, yeah.
All today. So that was expensive then. But it catapulted me into other properties. I quickly did gain equity in that property and was able to purchase other things. I was able to sell it throughout the years. I wish I would have held on to it now, hindsight being 2020, but I did sell it, but I did sell it at a premium, and I was able to buy other things that I needed. So I used that property as a stepping stone. Yeah. So from here right now, if you can't get the house that's your dream home, that's okay. Get what you can afford and use it as a stepping stone to build equity, build your credit, and get to the next property. Because you're going to pay somebody's mortgage. Just pay your own.
Yeah, I think that's perfect advice. You're paying a mortgage regardless if it's yours or somebody else's. So yeah, absolutely right. And I love the clearance sale. I'm going to use that because that probably sums it up the very best. Because again, we know that those were historical lows that we were experiencing during that time. And, I see so many people saying, well, I'm waiting till they get back to the 3%. Well, it took a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic for that to happen. So, don't hold your breath. One other question I have for you. So again, we have a lot, especially in this Denver market, we have a lot of real estate agents that have started in this industry, probably in the last 5 to 10 years. And what they've experienced up until this last year is a very productive seller's market where, the ease of being in real estate as far as selling houses on the listing side was definitely easier. It was challenging for a buyer's agent, but we still were able to make those things happen. But now we're in a different market right now, and we're seeing things in a very different light. I know you've been licensed at least since 2005. And so you were through a recession and a crash of the market. What would be your advice to that agent that's experiencing this change in the market and how they should pivot or adjust?
Well, you've got to stay on top of what the market is doing. You do that by going to the meetings and stay in and networking. That's number one. You're not going to make it in this business if you're not staying on top of what's going on. Once you know what's going on, you know what to expect, you know what to prepare for. And being prepared is really the gist of it. Yeah, I did get my license at a time where it was very lucrative and kind of easy, I'm going to say, to be able to get your clients in the door or to sell properties. And then quickly, a few years after that, the market just did take a crash. So right now, there's been parameters that put in place that we should not have that anymore. However, you've got to work your business. This is not an easy business. I know there's some, a lot of us make it look easy. It looks glamorous, but there is a very unglamorous side of real estate that we do every single day. And it's a job. It's a career. It's a job, and you have to work it. If you're not ready to work it, do something else. But I'd say if you want to stay in this business, it's extremely rewarding. There's nothing more exhilarating and make you happier than to actually pass someone the keys to their home, even the first home, second home, or third home that they really want and will enjoy. So that's a very rewarding feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Muriel, if you want to just share how our viewers can get a hold of you if they want to reach out, if they have questions, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, you can reach me at Town & Country Realty, everyone. So Muriel Williams-Thompson, Town & Country Realty. The phone number for the office is 303-789-9494. Once again, that's 303-789-9494. And I give my cell phone number out too. I am accessible. So I think that we all do. And that is 720-635-2135.
All right. And thank you so much for joining us here again. Like I said, is an honor and a treat. I've always just held you in high regard, not only because of what your family's done, but really what you're doing in the community right now. And it's just amazing to be able to watch you again, because here it is, you're a real estate agent, but you're so active in so many areas within the community. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Barry. And I want to say you are very active too. Very modest, but I appreciate it. I surround myself with good people like yourself. So thank you for keeping me humble.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our edition here of the special edition of the Agent Power Huddle for a Juneteenth celebration. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Agent Power Huddle. Thanks. Have a great day.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.